Hey guys, Adam here, and welcome to another On the Couch, second in a row. I'm actually going to do some. I'm actually going to do two separate Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. videos. Two Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. videos. The first one will actually be a rundown and my thoughts on season 1, and the second one will be about the first 2 episodes of season 2. This was really hyped. This was an incredibly hyped show. When Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was first announced, and that Coulson was going to star in it, Clark Gregg was coming back for this show. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, what was it going to be? Is it going to be a prequel? Is it going to be a sequel to Avengers? How are they going to do this?" I'm like, and of course I was one of those guys. I was indeed one of those guys who was looking forward to. I mean, when they first announced that they were going to make a TV show that took place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm like, it's got to be a show about S.H.I.E.L.D. There's no other way you can possibly do a show about anything else except for S.H.I.E.L.D. That's the only way. And of course I was right. But Coulson, when he first debuted in Iron Man, I didn't really care about him that much. I just thought he was just the guy to help introduce S.H.I.E.L.D. That's it. I didn't really care. When Iron Man 2 came along, again, I just thought he was the S.H.I.E.L.D. guy. I didn't really think he was that memorable. I mean, he had good lines. He did. Thor, he had a much bigger part, and that was to where I was like, okay, there's more to Coulson. But of course he also had the one-shots, which I'll get into when Age of Ultron gets closer. And I'm trying to think. But surprisingly, it wasn't until when Avengers came out, and everyone was talking about Avengers, everyone just went crazy about Coulson. I never saw this much devotion towards this character before. Granted, I'm also within that group that was like, oh my God, Coulson got killed. Was murdered. He was murdered. So yeah, when I heard Coulson was coming back, I'm just thinking, how the fuck are they gonna pull this off? And which leads into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The first season is an endurance test. That's what this season. You break it down, that's what this season is. It is a test of your patience and your endurance to see how long you will sit through this show before you decide to walk away. And unfortunately, a lot of people walked away. A lot of people walked away from this show within like 5 episodes. People were like, fuck it, I'm not watching this, fuck it. For me, I knew what was coming. I'll get into the big plot point. I mean, this will be spoiler, but I knew what was coming. I knew that they said that this was connected to the cinematic universe. I knew that there would possibly that the movie would have elements from the show. The show would have elements of the movies. I had to sit through this. I mean, even if it didn't get any better, I just knew it that I had to sit through it all, no matter what. So I was one of those guys that just like staying tuned every week, making sure I watched it, just so I can see what happened, just so I can see at least the connections of the cinematic universe. And yeah, for the first half of the season, yes, I understood why people didn't like it, why it wasn't that good. It was indeed an overhyped show, but it was really just standalone episodes with the occasional continuation episodes. And that was, but even then, it just wasn't as well written. It wasn't great. But it definitely, and those episodes were disappointing. Those were there were plenty of disappointing episodes. Believe me, there were. But it wasn't until halfway through the season. But it wasn't until the second half of that season did things get good. I mean, your patience was well deserved. Like, I mean, they rewarded your patience with the second half of the season. All right, and like I said, I'll get into the big section, what everyone at this point knows by now, especially if you've seen Winter Soldier. But I'll get into that soon. But first, I want to get into like characters and whatnot. But yeah, first half was indeed an endurance test. It was a test on your patience. It was, watch these episodes, then we'll get to the good stuff. Like, I mean, and you know what? That's kind of what a comic book does. It gives you these episodes that tells you things will be coming, just wait. We're first going to give you our characters. We're going to introduce you to the world of S.H.I.E.L.D. a bit first, before we give you the big story. And I mean, this was planned. A lot of people are like, oh, well, they didn't change. I mean, yes, they listened to fans. They were doing improvements along. I mean, they were still shooting the season while the show was going on, but this was still a plan. There was still a plan here. That's what a lot of people didn't get. But yeah, characters. Let's start off with Coulson first. Clark Gregg, great as always, very funny in this. I mean, and his arc here is, while it doesn't pay off as well as you would hope, at least they give you an answer as to how he came back. Which is, he was given an alien serum and they messed with his brain. But the reveal of how this rebirth project kind of happened was a little shocking. But that was revealed in the second half, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Melinda May is played by Ming-Na Wen. Was one of those things that got me, that just instantly said, I'm watching it, because I love Ming-Na. Ming-Na is amazing. She was one of the best things of Mulan. I always enjoyed her in that movie. She was one of the reasons why I watched a little bit of ER when I was younger. And goddamn, is she sexy? She's 50 years old and she still looks great. But yeah, and her character Agent May is a badass in this. I mean, I'm really hoping in the second season they add more to her character. I really do. But for like the majority of the first season, she was very much just the second in command. She was that character that just like that answered to Coulson. She was the badass basically. She was the soldier. That's what she was. I mean, they added more to her. They gave her a bit of a secret side to her. Like I said, I'll get into that in a little bit. Sky, she's the civilian. She's supposed to be our eyes into the world of S.H.I.E.L.D., even though by this point we know what S.H.I.E.L.D. is, so she wasn't necessary to be our eyes. But I swear, she was probably the least well-written character. Like she was supposed to be, again, a character with a past, with a backstory, which they're going into with season 2. But I didn't really care for her at the time. I didn't. I thought she was actually, frankly, quite annoying. I'm definitely 100% agreed with a lot of people about Sky. She was annoying. I didn't care for her. But again, later in the season, she sort of started to get better. She started to improve as a character, but she definitely won't have completely improved until season 2. I just felt like she wasn't necessary as the hacker, but they were trying to make her necessary, and I'm just like, eh. All right, Fitz and Simmons. I'm not I'm not cutting them apart because these are the two that I really like. These are like, to me, like one character, kind of a bit of one character. Fitz and Simmons. They're the techies. They're the smart ones. Fitz is the mechanical engineer, while Simmons is the biology person. But they're like, their chemistry is really good. Their chemistry is so much fun to watch. They're really enjoyable here. They're just, how they work off each other is fun. They're like, yeah, you can sense a bit of a romance, but at the same time, and I can't believe I'm saying this, they're a bit like brother and sister. That's what they are. They're best friends, very much brother and sisterly, with possible romantic connections. Oh God, so many people are gonna slash that. But yeah, I really enjoyed their chemistry together. They're just a lot of fun. Trying to think who else. Now, this is the one I want to really, not go into yet, but definitely talk about, is Agent Grant Ward. This is a character that everyone for the first half called boring. And I agreed. Until the second half. I'm not going to say why yet, but I will tell you that, boy, did they throw us for a loop. They threw us for a fucking loop with this character. He went from just this boring character to one of the best. He wasn't the greatest, but he was one of the best. He was one of the more interesting characters by the second half of the season. So yeah, those are the main characters. Those are the main characters. Now I want to go into the second half of the season. Now they did indeed have tie-in episodes, and of course there was a Thor tie-in episode, but again that was in the first half of the season and wasn't very good. But then they had this when the second half began. They had this. They were promoting this big event, this big TV event that they were going, and they were teasing and making it connect to Winter Soldier. They were saying, it's like, this is the event that will change the entire Marvel universe. This is what they were basically saying. Your patience will be rewarded. Like I said, your patience will be rewarded. It was rewarded. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Uprising story arc was hands down one of the best story arcs in in the first season. This season this went from okay, mediocre to amazing. This was awesome, and it gave us the Thor tie-in episode that they should have done a long time ago. I mean, one of the episodes had Lady Sif, Jamie Alexander reprising the role as Sif from the Thor movies in this episode. This, to me, was the true Thor the Dark World tie-in episode, and it was well done. It was enjoyable. There wasn't a single episode in the Uprising arc that I did not like. Now I'll probably go back to watching the seasons, the entire season. I'm a bit of completionist there, but my God, what they did with this season and connecting it to Winter Soldier was great. Now everyone knows by this point, Hydra had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. for years. They continue that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the fact that they aired it right after Winter Soldier debuted was a little risky. It was risky because a lot of people who might have been watching the show probably hasn't seen the movie. So honestly, if you're choosing to watch the show, watch the movie first before you watch the tie-in episode, because it will end up becoming because it will be that episode that reveals everything. Even though technically I'm going to already spoil it. Oh my God, this second half. So yeah, Hydra is indeed is the main villain. Is the hidden villain of the second half of the season. And they throughout the entire season, they're looking for a villain called the Clairvoyant who knows everything about S.H.I.E.L.D. And they believe that this agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. This Clairvoyant has superpowers. He can see into the future. Blah blah blah. No, it's not that. The Clairvoyant is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. And it turns out, spoiler, it's Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton was fucking amazing in this. Oh my God. I had so much fun with Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton was having a ball with this. He was having a ball being a good guy, and he was having a fucking blast being the villain of this season. Holy shit, this was fun. And that's the thing about this second season is a lot of people another thing people didn't like about S.H.I.E.L.D. was the first half was very much indeed like the movies in terms of the comedy. In terms of the sense of fun and adventure, whereas the second half was more the S.H.I.E.L.D. the aspect of S.H.I.E.L.D. that us comic book fans know is that it's the spy agency, espionage, all that. That's what everyone wanted in the S.H.I.E.L.D. series, and you'll get that in season 2, but I'll talk about that later. This is indeed. And Grant Ward turning out to be a Hydra agent was a surprise. They even gave an explanation as to why he was being boring, because he was like, oh, well, that was part of my cover, that I had to act like that in order to get everyone's trust. And yeah, Granted, it felt like he was just pulling it out of his ass, but yeah, makes sense. And it definitely comes down to a really good, for me, a really good season finale, especially when you get Sam Jackson to guest star in the season finale. It was a lot of fun to watch. This was season 1 was really, really good. The second half was really, really good. And so yeah, I just enjoyed it so much. So I don't want to say anything else. I mean, I recommend the first season. If it's like I said, it's an endurance test. You have to sit through it. You got to sit through it in order to get to the good stuff. Don't skip any of the episodes. Just keep watching. Just be patient. It will be rewarded. I assure you on that. So yeah, first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I give a 7. I'm not going to give it a 6 because I don't think it's justifiable. It's a 7 at least, especially because you get because of course it still hurts, but because of the first half. The second half, of course we got. Of course, it's really good, but there are still elements that could have still been improved on, which again we won't get until season 2. And guest characters they bring in especially from the comics, like they bring in characters you didn't expect to see in this. So, but seeing them was really good, and those I won't reveal because I recommend you watch the first season. Hell, I recommend this show. That's what I recommend this show. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get this online, and I'll be back with the first 2 episodes of season 2. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.